Good morning, everyone. So, now we have to start with our second part of the lecture, which we were doing rules of statutory interpretation. In the previous one, we have done mischief rule, golden rule, literal rule for interpreting the statute. Moving on to the secondary rules, which are also called as the rules of language. The first is Nociter sources, then Esgidum generis, then we will be doing Ridendo singula singulis. These three secondary rules we will be studying today. Starting with Nociter sources. So if you read, when a word is ambiguous, its meaning may be determined by reference to the rest of the statute. Here Nocir means to know, sources means association. So therefore Nociter sources means knowing from association, knowing something from association. And when we have to know, when a word is ambiguous, which is not clear, to know, to find its true meaning, we can refer to the statute by knowing from the association. Now we'll understand it more. So basically this principle of Nociter sources is a rule of construction. So it is one of the rules of language which is used by court to interpret legislation. Now what does this mean? This says that the meaning, to find the meaning of the unclear word or any phrase, we can determine it with the words which are surrounding it. The words which are surrounding that unclear word, we can know its meaning. That is what Nociter sources means, knowing from association. The word surrounding that unclear word, association. So here, thus under the doctrine of Nociter sources, the questionable meaning of a word or doubtful words can be derived from its association with other words within the context of the phrase. Now, what does this mean? It says that words in a list within a statute have meanings that are related to each other. If multiple words have similar meanings, are put together, they are to be understood in their collective meaning. So, in other words, if I say the meaning of a word is to be judged by the company it keeps. This makes it clear that to know a meaning of a word, it can be judged by the company that word is surrounded by. So we can derive the meaning of that doubtful word from its association with the other words. Now this rule is explained in Maxwell on the interpretation of statutes in some words. According to Maxwell, this rule means that when two or more words susceptible to analogous meaning are clubbed together, they are understood to be used in their cognate sense. They take, as it were, their color from each other. That is, the more general is restricted to a sense of analogous to a general. So need not worry about it. In short, this simply says that the questionable meaning of a doubtful word can be derived from its association with other words. Now there is a case in this. So you understand now, we are deriving, if there is a word which is not clear, we derive its meaning from the other word which is surrounding it. Through its association, we try to understand what does it mean, which is given in the statute itself, and that is what Nositer sources is, a secondary rule of interpreting a statute. Now there is a case in this Nositer sources, Commissioner of Income Tax versus Bharti Cellular. So there was a word technical services which was used in section 194J of the Income Tax Act, and it was held to be unclear. It was held that this term is unclear. Now this technical, the word technical would, it can take its color from the word managerial and consultancy. This was all which was said by the court, that the word technical would take color from the words managerial and consultancy, between which it is sandwiched. Now these terms, managerial service and consultancy service, they involve a human intervention. So the court applied Nositer sources. The word technical would also have to be construed as involving a human element, and therefore interconnection and port access services which was involved by the SSC, they do not involve any human interface, and therefore under 194J it was held that technical services cannot be regarded under the Income Tax Act. So in this case Nositer sources was applied. And Nositer sources, it cannot prevail in the cases where it is clear that the wider words have been used in order to make the scope or the defined word correspondingly wider. So for understanding this, the first rule is about Nositer sources. The rule of the language, that is what we call it, a rule of a language. Now second is Assurum Generis. Now what is this? See, when a list of two or more specific descriptor, when a list of two or more specific descriptors are followed by more general descriptors, the otherwise wide meaning of general descriptors must be restricted to the same class if any of the specific words that precede them. Examples are vehicle in car, motorbikes, motor powered vehicle would be interpreted in a limited sense and therefore cannot be interpreted as including airplanes. So this word Assurum Generis means of the same kind. First you need to understand what does this whole term, like Nositer sources means, you're deriving something from its association. To know something from its association. Similarly, Assurum Generis word is the same kind. It means of the same kind. Now how to apply it in the rules of interpretation? See, normally general words should be given their natural meaning like all the other words. But when a general word follows some specific word of a different category, then that general word can be given a restricted meaning of the same category. Right? To understand it more clearly, there is this example given. Vehicles in car, motorbikes, motor powered vehicles, they would be interpreted in this sense only, which means they cannot include airplanes. We are here talking only about cars, motorbikes, motor powered vehicles, right? the vehicles which are moving on the road, so they are of same kind. So we are talking only about these words, the car, motorbikes, they are of same kind. But if we include airplanes, they are not of the same kind. So this cannot help in interpreting. Therefore, if you read it again, when a list of two or more specific descriptors are followed by more general descriptors, the otherwise wide meaning of general descriptor must be restricted to the same class. So the same classes, this adjunct genres, that is of the same kind, if any of the specific words that precede them. Now, the adjunct genres are of the same genus rule. That's what the rule is, of the same genus, right? Is similar through narrower than the more general rule of Nociter sources. It operates where a broad or open-ended term appears following a series of more restrictive terms in the text of statute. So here, this word adjunct genres, which means of the same kind, it is used to interpret loosely written statutes. See, where a law lists some specific classes of person or things and then refer to them in general, then the general statements only apply to the same kind of person or things specifically listed. As I told, like for example, if a law refers to automobiles, trucks, motorcycles, and other powered vehicles, so vehicles will not include airplanes. That's what I told you in this example. The vehicles would not include the airplanes. Why? Since the list is only of the land-based transportation and not air-based transportation. That is what adjunct genres is about. Then, in this case, in UP Electricity Board, there is a case under it versus Hari Shankar. Supreme Court held, following condition must exist for the application of this rule. So Supreme Court held 4 conditions under which these conditions should exist so that adjunct genres rule could be applied. Now what are these 4 conditions? The first condition should be that the statute contained an enumeration of specific word. So as I told you, they need to have there should be specific words in the statute. Second, subject of the enumeration constitute a class or category. Again, that the subject of the enumeration need to constitute a class or a category. Then that class or category is not exhausted by enumeration. It should not be complete, the class or category, and a general term is present at the end of enumeration. There also need to be a general term, and then there is no indication of a different legislative intent. So these words are quite clear to understand that such following 5 conditions must exist in order to have adjunct genres rule to be applied. And this rule, I hope you understand it. Then Justice Hidayatullah explained the principle of this rule through the following example. Now in the expression, books, pamphlet, newspaper and other documents, private letters may not be held included. See, try to understand this. This is very simple. So if there is this expression where books, pamphlets, newspaper and other documents, if you understand, these are of same category, right? These things will not include private letters. Private letters may not be held included if other documents be interpreted adjunct genres with what goes before. But in a provision which reads newspaper or other documents likely to convey secrets to enemy, then the word other documents would include document of any kind and would not take their meaning from newspaper. So it's quite simple, which tells you about interpretation of this, interpreting things and expression through adjunct genres. Then our third word is redendo singula singulus, right? So this principle of agerum generis is not a universal application. Moving on to redendo singula singulus. It's a bit tricky to speak, but it's fine. Now this is a Latin term. This is a Latin term, and this means by referring each to each. Now referring each phrase or expression to its corresponding object. So in a very simple words, redendo singula singulus means that when a list of words has a modifying phase at the end, then the phrase refers only to the last. So it is a rule of construction which is used usually in distributing property. So when a list of words have a modifying phrase at the end, the phrase refers only to the last word. Now through example you can understand firemen, policemen and doctors in a hospital. So here in a hospital only applies to doctor and not to firemen or policemen. So therefore this means, what does this term would mean? By referring each to each, that is referring each phrase or expression to its corresponding object. That means that when a list of words has a modifying phase at the end, now there is this modifying phase at the end and doctors in a hospital, the phrase refers only to the last. So it would only apply to the last, doctors in a hospital, right? It is a rule of construction. So here in hospital only applies to doctors, and obviously this would not apply to firemen and policemen, but only to the doctors. That's what our third rule says, referring to each, referring each phrase or expression to its corresponding object, this thing. So where there are general words of description, such general words are to be construed distributively, right? Now the redendo singula singulus principle concerns the use of words distributively, I just told you. Then where a complex sentence has more than one subject and more than one object, it may be the right construction to render each to each by reading the provision distributively and applying each object to its appropriate subject. A similar principle applies to verbs and their subject and to other parts of speech. So a typical application of this principle is where a testator says, I devise and bequeath all my real and personal property to B. So property devise is the appropriate only to real property, alright. The term bequeath is appropriate only to personal, and accordingly by the application of it is a bit irregular, but try to understand. The term bequeath is appropriate only to personal, and accordingly by the application of the principle redendo singula singulus, the testamentary disposition is read as if it were worded, I devise all my real property and bequeath all my personal property to B. See, try to understand this case. Now, or you can also understand it. Okay, let's understand the case. This rule has been applied in the case Koteshwar Vittal Kamath versus K. Rangappa Baliga. Now, in this construction of the proviso of Article 304 of Constitution, now which says, what does 304 says? Provided that no bill or amendment for the purpose of clause B shall be introduced or moved in the legislature of a state without the previous sanction of the president. Without previous sanction of president, no bill or amendment shall be introduced in the legislature, right, of the state. Now it was held that the word introduced applies to bill and moved applies to amendment. So this word introduce, it applies to the bill, and moved word applied to the amendment. So introduced and moved was these two words was construed in Koteshwar Vittal Kamath versus this case by applying the rule of ridendo singula singulis, right? So this is quite clear as to, by understanding this example, I think it is given in most clear words. Starting from the first one again, Nocitor sources. How do we come to know about it? It means knowing from association. When you know the other meaning of the word by its association, so you apply this rule. Then adjudum generis is of the same kind. It is about the same kind. Suppose if you vehicle in car, motorbikes, motor powered vehicle, so here airplanes would not come into the picture, obviously, because it is only talking about land transportation. Then so it is of the same genus rule. And then comes the third rule, which is redundo singula singulis, under which the last phrase is to be seen. The doctors in a hospital, as it is written, doctors in a hospital. This is quite simple example. So that is all about it, and it is quite simple also. Now in our next lecture we'll be go through these cases also, they are important. And in our next lecture I'll tell you what we are gonna do. We are gonna see, we are done with the rules of interpretation. Now all we need to start is, I think we have done with golden, literal, mischief, all of these rules. Then these secondary rules we have done. So we'll start with, just a second, let you know. Okay, so we are going to start with judicial activism. This will be interesting. We have completed our first unit, which is introductory over meaning and the purpose, scope of interpretation of statute. Then we have done internal aids, external aids. Now these rules of interpretation, the primary rules were the and the secondary rules we have done. Now judicial activism will be our fourth unit, and we will start it from next lecture. Thank you.